for today's word of the day. It's caracteres. A noun.
Bless you.
Thank you. Caracteres, noun. This unique word refers to symbols written on bits of parchment or amulets. They were used as a way of encoding powerful spells to keep them from being repeated by someone who may not be aware of their potency or seek to abuse their power. Because of this general barrier to entry, caracteres also demanded that potential conjurers devote time to studying and learning how to correctly interpret the encrypted incantations.
Can you use it in a sentence, please?
I discovered the caracteres and realized I had not the wisdom to interpret them.
Yeah.
You haven't even read that?
Wait, what are you doing with the book?
So he has the confidence to finish the story.
Hear now the words of the witches.
This is Kevin, and welcome to Words of the Witches, the Charmed podcast that will guide you through the lesser-known published material in the Charmed universe and decide how it fits into the grand narrative of the TV series. So yay! Welcome to Words of the Witches.
Woo!
Season 2, we're doing issue 0 of the comic book. Issue 0, the Sourcebook. So, Sean is here, my co-host for this venture. Hello.
Oh, hello. I'm so happy to be on the show finally. That's not how I really talk.
And then we have a guest, Aaron. Welcome.
Yes, hello. I'm happy to be here. I don't speak like that either, but I'm very happy to be here. Yeah, you know, life imitates art, and I find it very fitting for comic number 0 that somebody was originally supposed to be on, and you had to find a new, younger counterpart to complete the 3, and that is me, and I'm here.
Yeah, I'm like, who can I ask very short notice to come onto this episode? And it was you. And
Yeah.
And that makes Aaron then my favorite character.
Yay, I'm Phoebe. And I'm very honored to be officially the first person to have been on all 3 of your podcasts. So
yeah.
This is quite the honor.
Isn't that crazy? 3 for it's 3 is the most powerful number.
Yes.
And what's cool is you got to visit me this past weekend to see Cinderella. Oh my goodness.
I did.
He saw this very room.
I'm so jelly.
I did.
Oh.
I said, "Oh my God," for like a solid 20 minutes because it was just the room, like it in person, it's just on a whole other level of just awesomeness in there.
Yeah. He's like, oh my God. He was pointing. It was so fun because I never get to show people this room. I'm like, it's mostly just me who enjoys it. So it was fun to show somebody.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions before we start with issue 0?
So
What's a comic book?
What's a comic book?
Wow.
Well, it's like a regular book, except with pictures and other words, but and they're usually shorter, but they go on for longer. It's question.
I have a canonical question. Canonical.
Question. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as far as the comics goes, I know this is comic number 0. So was this the first one to come out, or did they release this at a separate time?
This came out first. Mm-hmm. This issue served as kind of like introduction for people who may not know the series, because they wanted people who didn't know the show to at least be up to speed so that they could follow along, and then people who were fans of the show just a review and a recap, and so it just serves both. Silence! Hear now the words of the witches.
I love it.
That's how you know we're getting into the real book. That's how we know we're past the introduction part.
I'm going to start saying random things when I know you're going to do that so you can silence me.
Yeah. We can talk, Sean, let's
exactly. Otherwise, it'd be like, I didn't
already
say
silent.
Yeah, you're right. Who are you talking
I
to?
didn't say anything. Shut up! Oh my God. So yes, issue 0. This is the cover that I have, and it's
Ooh.
got the 3 girls. So this cover was Jose Cano, but he only did the cover.
Oh.
And then there's another one, cover B. It was just like a picture of them.
Ooh.
This was full color. It was more purple. There's like a Book of Shadows on the bottom, and like purple smoke and things like that. That was cover B, and that one was by David Seidman.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
I like cover B better.
oh, you do, yeah? Because you don't like the art, you don't like the drawing.
Well, looking at the drawing, I'm like, okay, I can tell that's kind of Paige. She looks taller. I can tell that's Piper. But who is this woman in the middle? Because that's not Phoebe. And why is she grabbing Paige's butt?
Oh my gosh! I just realized that she is grabbing Paige's butt.
Oh wow!
I did not even notice that until you just said it. That is funny.
You know, I had a fleeting thought when I first saw the cover. I thought that Paige looked like Anne Hathaway as Paige for like a split second, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's Paige." Do you
Like
see
I
what I'm talking
definitely,
about?
I can see that.
yeah, and I definitely
Yeah.
see their likenesses in there, but Phoebe does seem just a little bit more vixeny than usual.
Mm.
And that's saying something.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, so that's issue 0. And then the other one has just like pictures of them, season 8 promo pictures. Actually, we have a season 2 promo picture of Piper, a season 8 promo picture of Phoebe, and then we have a screen capture. It looks like from Engaged and Confused of Paige.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
This is not confirmed. This is just me guessing, but I know these things. It was published June 16th, 2010, written by Paul Ruditis, edited by Ralph Tedesco and Raven Gregory, with artwork by, well, they have original artwork because they have pictures from the Book of Shadows, so they mentioned the 3 people that worked on the Book of Shadows on the show, Derek Barron, Dan Habercorn, and Carol Wood. And then we have additional artwork by Dave Hoover and David Seidman. And then, yes, we did talk about the cover, those 2 guys. All right, and then I guess the first page is just our Book of Shadows introduction page. It's the first page of the Book of Shadows that says 1693 with the elaborate B and the elaborate S and the triquetra. Ta-da.
So my page on page 3, and not like Paige the sister, but like a book page, it is all about the power of 3. And it says the power of 3 will set you free. The Warren line of witches descends from Melinda Warren, a victim of the Salem witch trials in the 17th century. As Melinda was burned at the stake, she vowed that each generation of Warren witches would grow stronger, culminating in the arrival of the 3 sisters. These sisters would be the most powerful good witches the world has ever known. They would destroy all kinds of evil and be known as the Charmed Ones. Ooh.
So, yeah, and that was pretty much directly quoting Phoebe in the first episode. She's like, and I think we're those sisters. We're known as the Charmed Ones. Like, oh, speaking of the Charmed Ones.
Oh, that's my cue. The Charmed Ones. Hear now the words of the witches. I like that. Words of the witches. That sounds
Has a ring to it.
like a nice
Wow,
phrase.
yeah.
Hear now the words of the witches. The secrets we hid in the night, the oldest of spells are invoked here. The great guilt of magic is sought. In this night and in this hour, I call upon the ancient power. Bring your power to we sisters 3. We want the power. Give us the power!
Oh.
Yes. This is interesting to note, though. Does anybody notice something interesting about this page?
It's different.
It's different. This is actually the version from the unaired pilot, not the actual first episode.
Oh, and I know because I just looked at that. The Book of Shadows.
Yes, yeah, because he was here looking at my Book of Shadows replica, and I'm like, this is the unaired pilot one. This is the regular, because there's 3 different versions of the spell in the Book of Shadows. So I showed him, and I'm like, well, fitting that it comes up now, isn't it? Yeah, the one from the
You did that on purpose.
I did. Isn't that crazy? The one in the actual show, the first episode, is the oldest of gods are invoked here. So that's one difference there. And this is bring your powers. I think it says bring your powers, the S in there. And then there's a different design on the side. But yeah. Oh, you know what? We didn't talk about that picture that was on your page, Aaron.
Oh
Is
yeah,
this
yeah.
artwork of them
There's the
standing?
triquetra, with the I guess circular
Squiggles.
design squiggles around it, to make it all fancy. And
Yeah.
we have Piper and Phoebe. Yeah, they really just like I don't know why it's always Phoebe that looks much different from the way that she actually looks, but I think that's Phoebe, and then Paige on the right.
Yeah. Well, I know you didn't listen to our introduction episode yet because it's not out yet, but the artist did say that he found Alyssa Milano to be the hardest to draw.
It's interesting.
So
to know.
that
Yeah,
that
and
may
it's
explain
funny
it.
because speaking to other artists, like that seems to be the trend. There's something about Alyssa Milano that is unattainable unless it's Disney drawing her as Ariel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting about this picture too? That thing that symbol that's in the background with the circles and everything. I have a keychain with that exact same symbol with all the
Oh.
the embellishments around it. Isn't that funny? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So now we're getting into the sisters pages. I will read Piper. And what's interesting about these pages too is each of these sisters has like a different handwriting style.
Mm-hmm.
I
They
like
gave
that.
them like all different fonts.
Yeah, different fonts. And so like this is them from their perspective. So I'm going to read Piper with this beautiful picture of her head, her face, her hair. And it says, as the middle sister, I spent much of my life as a mediator between the strong-willed Prue and impulsive Phoebe. I grew to become the heart of the Hallowell family, as our mother once put it. You're the heart of this family, Piper. That's just, I always knew you'd be the first to get married. Anyway, Prue's untimely death shook me to the core, forcing me to accept a new role as the young matriarch of the Hallowell family after welcoming in our newfound sister Paige. I initially feared that witchcraft came from a place of darkness that made us evil, but I quickly learned that we were a powerful force of good! The first of my powers to be revealed was the ability to freeze people and objects through molecular immobilization. I don't think she ever said that in her life. My power is molecular immobilization. But sure.
Right. She'd probably say like, I freeze people.
So that was fun. That ability grew into speeding the molecules to the point of combustion, which proved an easier way to take out low-level demons, and I use it all the time, constantly. I studied to be a chef, managed a restaurant, and eventually opened the nightclub P3 with the help of my sisters. My cooking skills also made me a natural at brewing potions, if I do say so myself.
What? She does.
And then she does. And then there's a little blurb about Leo here. Leo Wyatt. Soon after my powers were awakened, I met a guardian angel in the form of Whitelighter Leo Wyatt. Leo died heroically in World War II and was rewarded with an offer to work for the side of good instead of moving on to the afterlife. Though romance between a Whitelighter and his charge was forbidden, Leo and I fell in love and married. The fates and our own stubbornness threw many obstacles into our course of love, but we stuck it out, started a family, and I look forward to growing old together. Oh my god.
I guess something about the power of three really just wants to give me Phoebe today.
Yeah.
I'm feeling very Phoebe with my journey today. So on Phoebe's page, it's a much I will say Piper's font is very cursive. Phoebe's is not. It's pretty. It's not Comic Sans, but it's kind of like a more fancier version.
Yeah.
Of that, I would say maybe. Yeah. Anyway, I spent much of my life searching for my place in the world. After a brief time in New York, I returned home to the strained relationship with my sister Prue. Ever the impetuous one, I proudly take the blame for chanting the incantation that activated the power of the Charmed Ones. With the help of our magical sisterhood, Prue and I healed our rift before her tragic death. My journey for self-discovery continued as I finished college and eventually found my passion, stumbling into a career writing on an advice column for the Bay Mirror. My primary active power is premonition, with the ability to see into the future as well as the past. For a time, I also possessed the powers of levitation and empathy, but my active magic was stripped from me when I exploited them for personal gain. Premonition was my first of my gifts to return, which, along with my natural spell writing talent, still makes me a very powerful force for good. I have had two great loves in my life, beginning with the half human Cole Turner. Cole was torn in two by his demon half, Balthazar, when we met. Though he escaped Balthazar's grasp, our relationship ended in tragedy when he could not overcome the darkness still within him. And then there's a section on the bottom about Coop.
Oh.
Several men followed Cole, but none of them could fill the hole in my heart until the elders assigned a Cupid named Coop to help me find love again. What neither of us realized was that the elders had always intended for Coop to be that love.
Yeah.
Aw.
So pretty much, yeah. It's just rude that she doesn't have her powers back yet. Isn't that crazy?
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see it happen in this
I wonder if you're
comic.
setting something
Yeah.
up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think it's funny that Phoebe has like this huge like thing that she talks about, and she talks about Cole, and then there's this tiny little bit of, oh yeah, Coop,
Yeah.
he's, like, fun with or
The,
whatever.
the great love of my life. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and Coop.
That guy.
Yeah.
Oh, qua coincidence. I get to read about Paige.
It's almost like I chose this on
sister.
purpose. What?
Wow.
It's almost like that, but I'm sure it's not. So Paige, I feel like the artists have the easiest time with Rose because it always looks pretty spot on for
I
Rose,
see her
but,
a
like,
lot.
The other two is
Yeah.
iffy.
Yeah.
And on Paige, she has writing that's very much, to me, it looks almost like the Charmed font itself.
Yeah, it
It's a little
does.
different, but it's very close.
Mhm.
The unexpected consequence of a forbidden affair between Patty Hollowell and her white-later Sam. I grew up with adopted parents unaware of my magical family heritage. My situation inspired me to become a social worker. Sorry, the font's a little hard to read.
It
Very hard
is.
to read.
Paige in your handwriting. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, Paige, making it hard on
Don't you
me.
want people to read these comics?
Yeah. But that path was set aside a year after I found my family and learned that I was a witch. It wasn't until I became head mistress of magic school that I found what might be my true calling, guiding the next generation of magic users. Though the politics of running a school was not for my temperament. I don't see Paige saying something
Right.
like that. Not for my temperament. I felt the call of my sisters following Prue's death, and together we reclaimed the power of 3. I soon learned that my magical gift was related to Prue's telekinesis, but with a white lighter twist of orbing objects instead of moving them. Part white lighter, I also have the power to orb myself. That sounds naughty. I like to orb myself, teleporting wherever I want to go on Earth or even up there.
Oh, when I think about you, I orb myself up there.
They can orb
Recording
themselves
right
up there anytime they want to. I'm ready.
Among my other white lighter abilities, I can also heal wounds and hide my true identity through a magical glamour.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh, and there's another little blurb here, much longer than Coop's. This is about Henry Mitchell. It wasn't until I met Henry Mitchell, a parole officer that grew up in the foster care system, that I found my true match. We settled down together and started a family, finally allowing me to find my place in the world and accept the responsibility of mentoring new charges.
Oh.
Isn't it interesting that the cover art of Paige and then the cover art of Paige is brownish hair, and then inside the two drawings of her are like reddish hair.
And very red
Yeah,
hair.
this one and this here is the very like that's season 6 strawberry blonde hair
Yeah.
in this picture. But yeah, the one before is very red, so it's interesting. Like, what color hair does she have in the comics? We shall see.
You're such a tease.
So the next part says in memoriam.
No.
And this looks like Piper's handwriting here. So she writes about Prue Halliwell.
Yeah.
Prue Halliwell was the firstborn charmed one. After our mother died, Prue took on a maternal role when we moved in with our Grams. At first, Prue was skeptical of the magic and Phoebe's leap before looking approach to gaining our powers, but she came to fully embrace our heritage. Prue always had an interest in history, having worked with antiquities in her job at Buckland Auction House. Okay, I guess it works, but I just hate when people say, because even though the sign says Buckland Auction House, it's always referred to as Bucklands.
Bucklands, yeah.
So I'm just like, when I don't hear Bucklands, it makes me mad. But fine, if you're saying the full name, I guess it's forgivable. Before returning to her passion for photography, she was not a stranger to loss, having to let her first true love, Andy Trudeau, die in the fight against evil. Prue's powers of telekinesis and astral projection grew over time, but even those were not enough to save her when the Source's assassin, Shax, took her from our family at far too young an age. Yeah, and it's interesting that they don't tell you who's writing this. You have to like use your wits to figure it out.
Yeah.
Now we have a Cole Turner section written by Phoebe, which is much longer than Coops.
Right.
So, Cole Turner. Each of the charmed ones has dated darkness over the years, but no one from the side of evil had more of an effect on our family than Cole Turner. His half-demon side, Balthazar, was in constant battle with the human half, Cole. When I, Phoebe, fell... Who says this?
We know you're writing. It's the same writing.
No. When I, Phoebe, fell in love with the darkness. Yeah. Fell in love with him. Our tumultuous relationship led to a marriage performed in a dark ceremony, even though our love was pure. Unfortunately, that love was not enough to save Cole when his darkness took control and we were forced to vanquish him for good. Oh yes, spellworders. Vanquish is the thing we say on Hanging with the Halliwells. It will probably be coming back here a lot. Vanquish for vanquish. Yes.
Yep. So I now see Phoebe as the storm of the group because she's like, I'm Phoebe!
I will save you!
I find it interesting that they actually used the real pictures of Prue and Cole.
Yes. Yes, these are not drawings.
I have a guess.
Yes. We talked about this in issue 0.
What's in the book?
Yes, it's like, there's little tape. There's like little tape graphics on there, like, pasting. We didn't talk about it, but all of the pages are like under the guise of like the Book of Shadows, so this is supposed to be like a Book of Shadows thing. If you look at you can see like the other pages behind it. So I guess let me tape this picture of Prue in the Book of Shadows like I taped my picture of Cole and I at the our little booth photos. I'm gonna tape those in too. But yeah, what's your theory, Sean?
Is it because they couldn't get Shannon to agree to using her likeness unless they paid her lots of money for it?
Possibly. That seems to be the deal. Yeah, they could not draw her, but she cannot stop them from using promotional pictures that already exist. So those can still be added anytime.
Gotcha.
So Cole's is just in there, maybe just to be with Prue, so she's not the only one with a real life picture, or maybe they didn't get his approval yet because they do get it, But
spoilers.
I know, God.
Oh,
I'm so awful.
It's a page about witches, and there is, I want to say it's called the Wiccan Reed.
Yeah.
And it harm none, do what ye will. And it, there's a blurb that talks about what witches are. Basically, they can be good or evil. They have supernatural abilities that they get when they're children. And they can also cast spells and create potions. And then they must decide within the first 48 hours of their power awakening if they will travel the path of good or evil. So I think that decision happens when they fully come into their powers as an adult? ?
Yeah. It's because if you're born witches as children, they don't really
Although to be fair with Wyatt, I feel like they were trying to prevent him from going down the dark path. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't. It's not very clear because we're introduced to this 48-hour window concept with Paige, and then it never comes up again.
Yeah, I was questioning that too, just in terms of Billy, because like Billy was good,
Yeah.
and then she turned evil, and then good again. So it seems like it's not a hard set rule.
Yeah. And I will say, it looks like it switches back to regular
just
Book
general
of Shadows writing
Yeah.
for this.
Mhm.
But they did tape in pictures. So
Yeah, more tape.
there is a section about the Warren witches, and there is a and I like to go with the pictures by how they're taped. Piper usually tapes everything straight, whereas Phoebe looked to tape things diagonal. So I will say Piper taped all of these pictures on this page.
Okay.
Yeah. And yes, there's a picture of
Wow.
Graham's, their mother, Patty, and then Wyatt and Chris, kind of arms wrapped around each other's shoulders.
Yeah, the adult Wyatt and Chris from the future.
And they look very bronzed.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
And so it talks about how they descended from Melinda Warren. They grew stronger with each generation until Patty Hallowell, or Patricia, as they put in here, gave birth to the Charmed Ones, and how the line continued with their offspring, Wyatt and Chris. And then there is a section at the bottom of the page about fucking Billy, which is
Billy
also
Jenkins. That's impressive.
Yes, which is also a tied over from Hanging with the Hallowells.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I might pull in Canty Christie as well, because Canty Christie is mentioned in this as well. So Billy Jenkins was a protege of the Charmed Ones and aided in the fight against evil while they were in hiding. She continued to train with the sisters after their existence was revealed to the world and became a strong force for good. Billy turned to the side of evil after she reunited with her long-lost sister, Canty Christie, who had been kidnapped years earlier and turned by demons. Together, fucking Billy and Canty Christie became the ultimate power, fighting for the side of evil against the Charmed Ones. In the end, Billy saw the truth and came back to the side of good, but her sister died when she refused to give up the fight.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Good. Get rid of her.
Get rid of her.
So this next page, it goes over the elders, the white lighters, and the angels of destiny. Since they're a little bit shorter than Aaron's page, I'll go ahead and just read them word for word.
Do it.
The elders, also known as the founders, they are the highest level of white lighter. The elders control the ranks of the guardian angels and keep track of the good witches they protect. They are not all-knowing, as we've seen over and over, but they can aid with their vast wisdom. Vast? I think not.
Vast assholery. That's what I want to say.
Oh, God.
Yeah. All right, white lighters. Entrusted with protecting witches and future white lighters, these guardian angels guide their charges in the use of their magic. Mortals in life, they are given the choice to become white lighters or move on to the afterlife upon their death. Among their many powers, white lighters can teleport through a process known as orbing, and they possess a healing touch. And then we have Angels of Destiny. We have a drawing. Is this supposed to be the Angel of Destiny from the show?
I'm so glad you asked this, because I was going to cover this for you. So this is actually an entirely new Angel of Destiny, because we've seen two Angels of Destinies in the show. We had the old white guy from Which Way Now?
Yeah.
And then we had Denise Dowse. Oh, we love her. We miss her. Oh my God, Denise Dowse.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a third Angel of Destiny that appears exclusively in the comics.
Interesting.
Yeah, so Dakin Matthews played the original Angel of Destiny, then Denise Dowse, and now this comic book version. But yeah.
Okay. Angels of Destiny, magical beings that possess the knowledge of all things. They serve as keepers of the grand design and bear the responsibility of maintaining that the future plays out as it is destined. I have a question for you, gentlemen.
Okay.
This brought up a question for me.
Mm.
If you had the choice to be a white lighter or move on to the afterlife, what would you do?
Oh, what a good
Oh.
question. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness.
I know.
Wow, that's a very good question. I feel like if I was asked to be a white lighter, I probably would take it. Because I love speaking different languages, and I think it would be really cool to be helping different people all around the world. And I can orb, and I can, be put in charge of charges throughout various time periods in history, and experience all those magiques, and ask all of the important questions like voulez-vous coucher avec moi? I don't know.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
think I would very much enjoy being a white lighter. And it seems like white lighters and their charges just, do things together all the time. So I don't think it would be that bad of an experience,
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah. I mean, like, it does sound good to not die. That's always nice.
Yeah.
Although, then the elders are my bosses, and
You don't like
I would-
elders. Elders are the worst. They are the worst.
I just don't know.
But we could be the new elders and then fix
We
things.
can,
I don't know.
we can be like very good, benevolent white lighters that kill all the elders.
Yeah.
Get rid of them. They don't need to be there. Fine.
We stick the Titans on you. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably say afterlife actually, because then I can be
Wow.
brought back as a ghost and summoned to like give my words of wisdom and say, "Hello, children. You need some help? This is what my experience was. I don't know." I can walk past your crystals and become corporeal again and then join you in the fight because I'm just like Grams.
Or you could fall in love with Piper.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Well, thank you for indulging me,
You're
gentlemen.
welcome. So the next page, we talk about Hallowell Manor, which it's a house that was in the family for generations.
Ooh.
More than 3 generations, like Paige said in season 8. More than that. It has a nexus on there, the spiritual nexus, where all the equidistant from the elements, and there's like a source for great good or great evil. Cool.
Yes.
And yeah, the people, the witches, the Hallowell family moved there to take control of the nexus to make sure it doesn't go into the hands of evil. And then we have magic school. And I'm not a big fan of magic school either. The elders established magic school. That's why I hate it. That's why I hate it. Now you know. But they used it to train the young magic users. Oh, it's in a separate realm, hidden from the world. Oh, come to our school. We'll protect you. But yeah, but then Zanku broke the protection spells and that allowed them to die and everything. But sometime between the end of season 8 and this comic book, they reclaim Magic School. They start to bring it back to the side of good again. So that's what's happening with Magic School. And then we have the upper regions, the up theirs of our lives. And this is where the elders live. Boo. And only whitelers possess the ability to orb into the upper regions. The upper regions. I don't know. It sounds so. Is that my nipples? My nipples are hard right now with my upper regions. I don't know.
I think of like when you go into the butt, like you're going up into the upper regions.
Oh, sure. That works too.
So on this page, we have several spells that were in the Book of Shadows. And the first is the most often used spell of all, which is to call a lost witch, used in various forms, They list the ingredients, what to do with said ingredients, and what to say.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes. And then we have how to perform a seance, which is a ceremony to contact the dead. I believe that this was used in season 4, episode 11, Trial by Magic.
It was also in Pre-Witched for the first time, season 3, episode 17.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We have next hand fasting, which is the ritual that was used to marry Piper and Leo, and is an eternal joining of two people in love. Prue and Zyle went through the dark version of this, which I want to say is called dark binding. And yeah,
did research already. Like for
well, gotta research. gotta have that knowledge on hand. I don't know. And then we have something related to an item that Kevin really likes, which is Tuatha's wand. But is also scrying for something lost. And, it's a spell where they talk about how to scry and find things on maps.
Cool. And on our next page, we continue the spells. We have to call upon our ancestors, which is a spell we've seen. And what I like is it lists the ancestors here. We got Prudence, Penelope, Patricia, Melinda, Astrid, Helena,
and
Laura, and Grace.
I'm just singing it with you.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Because I know it by heart, even though it's right in front of me, but it's still.
Yeah. We have to summon a Darklighter spell here, and then we also have the Hollow spells to contain the Hollow, to summon the Hollow, and to return the Hollow.
Yeah, and it's funny because this is not the actual Hollow page. It just took the spells and put it in some fancy writing, but still, because the actual Hollow page has the picture of the Hollow in it. This does not have a picture of the Hollow in it. Yeah.
Lame.
The next page is Paige's favorite spell of all time. The Vanishing spell. Another one that people know by heart. But I'm not going to say it for you because everyone knows it by heart. That one. And then we have this spell. Well, it's not even a spell. It's just to find your true love's name. Now, this does not exist in the Book of Shadows. It says, fill your heart with only thoughts of love. Slice the skin from an apple in one continuous peel. Close your eyes and blow on the apple peel. Drop the peel into the water and watch it form the initial of your true love's first name. So this was in All Hallows Eve, where it made the C, and she's like, Cole, not Coop, Cole. But this is not actually in the Book of Shadows, but it is from that episode. It's interesting to see this design. I think they took this from just something that was on the internet. I don't know. But it's what's weird about that is if you did that in real life, the only letter it could make is a C. So
yeah, I feel like you have a shit deal. It's not gonna make a K
right.
ever.
I was like my true love's name. It's just C all the time.
And then on the next page, we move on to everything about warlocks and darklighters and the underworld. Ooh.
Oh my.
And for added flavoring, they have made it appear as if this was a very well-used portion of the book, to the point where the book is starting to split at this page and the following page.
Look at your attention to detail. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I pay attention. And so, something that I miss very much, warlocks. Warlocks, basically, they have one goal. They want to kill good witches so they can obtain the witches' powers. They are witches that have chosen to follow the dark path by performing an irrevocable act of evil in killing another witch, or by marrying a warlock in a dark binding, which happened between Prue and Zyle, which I just talked about. Woohoo! Most warlocks have the power to teleport, known as blinking. though some lesser warlocks are too weak to perform the act. And I want to say, is this a picture of one of the brothers from the coven?
This is actually a picture of the guy from the next issue.
Oh, is this? Wait, is it Alex? Alex?
Looks a lot like Alec from Love Hurts,
Yeah.
but I think it's supposed to be the guy from the next issue, which is a guy named Hogan.
Oh.
But- Yeah, of the comic book. Yeah.
Okay.
So
And Darklighters are on a mission to kill Whitelighters, which leaves their charges vulnerable to attack by the forces of evil. They can orb through a process known as black orbing, or blorbing, as we like to call it here.
Thank you. I'm glad you know it so well. Oh.
Well, you know, I gotta do my research. And some can inflict a touch of death, in contrast to a Whitelighter's healing power. A Darklighter's crossbow is armed with arrows covered in a poison that is lethal to Whitelighters. You have a very cool arrow in your room. It was really cool to look at, the bow.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And then, I don't know why they did this, but they put a thing about Underworld, the dark realm beneath the earth where evil resides.
Now you know.
Now you know
detailed.
everything you
Now
need to
you
know about
know.
the Underworld. And I will say, various letters are highlighted. I don't know if that's significant in any way, but they are.
No idea.
Well, on our next page, we get to demons.
Oh.
And it says here, observations upon the nature, the number, and the operations of the devils. The first one is the source of all evil, who, much like Aaron's page, has red in some of the letters, which makes it look so much more evil.
Yeah.
Evil.
Yeah.
So it talks about how the source of all evil was the ruler of the underworld. It's the most powerful demon in existence, and it talks about how the charmed ones destroyed the first body, which was the very like Chester Bennington looking source with the big plugs in his ears.
Yeah.
But since the source is so powerful, it was able to transfer its essence into multiple bodies over the years, including Mr. Cole Turner and the Seer.
Yeah.
But they were finally able to destroy the essence by sending it, or banishing even, it to the wasteland. But it talks lastly about how the source did return briefly, which made Sean very excited, like, hey, we're going to get the source again. But then he got Von Queesh in the same episode.
Put your finger in it.
That was that.
Put your finger in it. Now you got your favorite baby.
I know. I'm feeling my nipples are hard right now. This is my Zinky.
It was so meant to be. Oh.
It was.
Yeah, I mean,
so it talks about Zanku, not the yummy chicken restaurant. What's the matter, Zanku? Chicken? So it talks here about how he's one of the most powerful demons of the underworld. He even went up against the source to rule the demons, but the source was able to vanquish him, but or not vanquish, but banish, I should say. But then once the source was defeated by the sisters, that's when Zanku came back in season 7, and he teamed up with the Charmed Ones briefly to defeat the fucking avatars because they were just not good for everybody.
Yeah.
But then, of course, he was vanquished finally at the spiritual nexus located under the Hollowell Manor.
Yeah.
Lastly, it talks about the Triad, which is a collective of powerful upper-level demons. They're basically the emperors of the underworld. And when together, I'm just going to read this one because I'm not as familiar with them. When together, the powers of this evil cabal increase exponentially, and there's no known method of vanquishing them. Though unconfirmed, rumors persist of splinter groups seeking to carry out their own agendas. I love that little tease it gives because I feel like that's going to be a thread throughout the comic.
And this is taken right from the Book of Shadows itself. This little blurb. So. Next page, the avatars all in purple, underlined, bold, crazy. I don't know. They love these
Yeah.
avatars. Avatars are neither good nor evil. They possess immense power and exist outside time and space. The Avatars viewed the constant battle between good and evil as pointless and enlisted Leo to convince the Charmed Ones to assist them in creating a perfect world. When the price for that perfect world proved too high, the Charmed Ones allied with the demon Zanku, to undo the false paradise that they helped create. Oh. And then we talk about Guardians of the Hollow, which is the angel and the devil that have to keep people from taking the Hollow and making it out in the world because it's so dangeroso. They're there. And we might see them in the comics, different ones, because, some of them were killed. Actually, both of them were killed. So there have to be new ones. And then we have a blurb about the ancient burial ground. And this is a realm that exists in infinity outside of time and space, where the crypt that houses the Hollow is located.
That one's got cool writing,
It
too.
does.
Very,
Yeah.
metal band writing.
Yeah. Very Meatloaf.
Yeah. Now I want Meatloaf real bad.
Oh, I'm going to talk about year one. The symbol they put here is a picture of the Ouija board or the spirit board from the first episode. And this is written by Piper. It's in her handwriting.
Mhm.
Okay. In the wake of Grams's death, Phoebe returned home from New York and her failed effort to reunite with our father. Her tense reunion with Prue was cut short when a ghostly hand used the spirit board our mother left to send a message directing us to the attic in the Hollowell Manor. The previously locked room opened for Phoebe, and inside she found this book of shadows in an old trunk. Reciting the incantation found on these opening pages, she tapped into the magical gifts that had been bound within us as children and awakened the power of the Charmed Ones. Old flames returned, and new relationships were forged over the course of our first year as witches. Prue reunited with her former love, Andy Trudeau, who introduced us to a new friend and his partner, Daryl Morris. The elders sent us our own guardian angel in Leo Wyatt, a white lighter who would eventually become family. We made some mistakes learning to control our powers, but grew stronger as we studied the magical tenets, not trends. We were visited by our ancestor, Melinda Warren, traveled back in time ourselves, and fought many evil beings, including some that had been sent to us by the most powerful demon in the underworld, the source of all evil. In spite of our triumphs, we also suffered deeply during that first year as Charmed Ones. Prue's relationship with Andy was challenged when she revealed her secret to him, or I should say, our secret to him, and he was forced to cover up our supernatural mysteries. But nothing caused more pain than when Andy gave up his life to protect us.
It's interesting that she mentions the source of all evil there because they didn't know about that in season 1. I mean, yes, he sent Rex and Hannah and things like that, but we didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Oh.
And actually, I'm looking at these. All of these are written by Piper. All of these years.
Oh,
Every
Yeah.
single one of them.
All right, year 2. I find this very telling of everybody's favorite season 2 episode, or some people's favoriteest episode of the whole series, Kevin.
I know.
and me.
It
It's my
shows a
favorite episode of
picture-
all time as well.
Oh, that's right, it
Yeah.
is. It shows a picture of Phoebe in Morality
Yes.
Bites burning at the stake.
Yeah.
In our second year embracing our Wiccan heritage, we were visited by the spirit of Grams for the firstest time and learned that it was her ghostly hand that had been guiding us through the Book of Shadows. Though we had gained much insight since our powers were reawakened, it was during the second year that we had one of our most painful lessons to date. A visit to the fuchsia forced us to bear witness to Phoebe's death as a possible path we could follow if we made the wrong choices with our magical gifts in the present. Piper was juggling a lot in both her personal and professional lives. She had finally grown tired of working at the restaurant, Quake, and opened her own club. She named it P3 in the honor of the power of three, as well as for the initials of we. See, now it says we three sisters who became partners in the endeavor. Meanwhile, she was bouncing back and forth in relationships with Leo and a new next door neighbor, Winky
You
Face.
can say Dan.
Dan.
You can say Dan. It's okay.
It's
Yeah.
interesting that it
Just
doesn't
say
even,
Dan.
doesn't even mention his name. That new next door neighbor.
Dan.
Weird.
Some guy used to fuck.
Don't look him up, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Prue came to terms with Andy's death. We also discovered that she often visited the lake that was the site of our mother's death. This led to us meeting Mom's white lighter, Sam the whore, and the discovery that they had a forbidden affair that paralleled Leo's and Piper's
Oh,
love.
blurred.
Sam the whore gave his life to save us from the demon that killed our mother and joined her in the spirit realm. Phoebe also learned to open her heart in time to prepare her to meet a man that would affect her deeply in the up there's.
And there, in that sentence, is referring to the time that she met a Cupid in season 2. That's what they're getting at.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember
Yeah.
Heartbreak City? She met the first Cupid, and he was kind of like flirting with her.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Yeah,
really
they,
weird.
like,
That
kind of
moment in
fell
the
in love at
kitchen,
the end. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and he's like, "Goodbye forever." And he didn't have a name, just Cupid. So goodbye, Cupid. Now we're on to year 3, my favoriteest season. And it's almost like it was on purpose. How
I know. I
perfect.
wanted to read year 3.
And we have a picture of Piper and Leo on their wedding day. Leo looks a little Frankensteinish in this picture, but it's fine.
And he's got like these weird red marks on his neck. I think he was also like
My
bit by a
vampire.
vampire.
Yeah.
What is that? I don't know. So it's, I mean, you can see the similarity to Just Harried, but it is a little rough. And there's no Grams. Grams should be in this picture
Yeah.
instead of
that's
candles and
fair.
flowers. Yeah. So, whatever. But there we go. Family played an important role for us this year, as our father, Victor, returned in the hope that he could be a part of our lives again. We journeyed back in time to ensure that Melinda Warren was born and the Warren line of witches could develop. And Piper and Leo took an important step in their relationship. Word came down from up there that Piper and Leo were to break up, or he would be reassigned as our white lighter. Tired of elder interference, they hurriedly prepared a secret wedding that didn't happen. Rutabaga. But persistence paid off, and Piper and Leo eventually married. Phoebe had her own relationship issues of a darker sort. Though her powers started to expand with the introduction of levitation, it was a meeting with a half-demon named Cole Turner that was the bigger change in her life. Their relationship started out an endless debate of whether Cole was good or evil, going so far as to get Phoebe to lie to our family and convince us that Cole was dead after he revealed his human side to her. It was the loss of our sister Prue that stands out as our most tragic event, not only since acquiring our powers, but in our entire lives. In spite of a deal Phoebe made to side with evil to protect her, we were unable to save Prue from an energy blast from the Source's assassin, Shax. The power of 3 was no more, which was an insignificant loss compared to that anguish of Prue being gone.
I'm a little confused because it doesn't mention like a really big plot point in that Victor got extensive plastic surgery.
Yeah, he does not look like the guy from before.
We move on to year 4, which I believe
Which
has...
is my favorite season, but it's not fortuitous.
Oh no, I ruined it.
Mm. It's my second favorite though, after season 3.
Okay.
The picture here is of Paige, Piper, and Phoebe when they reestablished the power of 3 in Charmed again.
Yeah. It's a little weird looking because they all have like weird, boring gray clothes and no color.
Yeah, it's like, they look like they're about to be abducted
Yeah.
by aliens.
And the glow from the chandelier is
You
purple.
really captured Piper's stubble.
Oh my gosh! She's got like a beard growing. Oh my gosh! Yeah, that purple glow is a little weird because I would like it to be blue just because that's what it is. But
yeah. Mourning Prue's death carried us into a year full of darkness and light. Piper was especially affected by the loss of our sister. Her spell to call a lost witch had the unexpected and fortuitous consequence of uniting us with Paige, the sister we never knew we had. The power of 3 was reborn, and we were able to vanquish the demon that had taken Prue from us. Shax. After years of battling the Source's demons, we finally defeated the ruler of the underworld. Or as so we thought. As it turned out, we only vanquished the Source's demon form. The Source's essence went into Cole's body, which started off a chain reaction in the underworld as he battled for power, culminating in a dark marriage to Phoebe that sealed their lives together in evil and conceived a demon child. We were forced to vanquish Cole, which sent the spirit of the Source into the seer, orchestrating many of the underworld's recent power plays. Ultimately, Phoebe's unborn demon child was transferred to the seer as well, allowing us to destroy both the new Source and its spawn together. As a reward for what we believed was finally vanquishing the source of all evil once and for all, an angel of destiny gave us the choice to abandon our role as the Charmed Ones and lead normal lives. One more battle with evil and the return of Cole helped us to reignite our belief in the fight for good. We chose to continue to follow our calling.
you get to say vanquish a lot. I'm jealous.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
should have turned that into a drinking
Right.
game.
Yes.
All right, year 5. On this page, it looks to be a very beautiful drawing of Paige as a mermaid, but I know it's supposed to be Phoebe.
And it's based off that
Yeah.
promotional picture, but it does look a little wonky. Yeah.
Even like the hair color and like the light skin, it looks very much like Paige.
Yeah.
Leo and Piper prepared for the birth of their first child, who was growing more and more powerful in the womb. The arrival of their son, Wyatt, did not ease the constant strain that the elders' rules had inflicted on Piper and Leo's relationship. The final straw for the couple came when Leo accepted a position as an elder in order to save the world from the Titans. But he used his powers to help Piper ignore the pain of losing him. Oh, the anger is rising in me again.
Flames on the side of my face.
Nice. Phoebe's troubles with her resurrected husband, Cole, continued, and she nearly became a mermaid to escape the
Travails?
travails.
Yeah.
What a word.
What a common word, travails. Eventually, Cole came to regret his evil life and tried to kill himself at the hands of the Charmed Ones, only to find that he was unvanquishable.
Ooh, that's so fun.
Oh, fun.
I love that.
Yeah. He embraced his inner evil again and devised a new plan to win back Phoebe. In an unexpected turn, his evil machinations. I know words. I speak
This is written
sometimes.
very oddly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Fun words, though.
Allowed him to be vanquished for good. Yeah, fun words. Piper is very literate. Paige quit her job to become a full-time Charmed One, continuing to grow into her powers, which were especially necessary to us when the Titans took over the upper regions.
Oh no.
No. Once the battle ended with Leo deciding to reside up
Oh,
there.
that's where you reside, Leo? Every
Mm.
night? Well.
Wow.
Oh.
You know, the Titans were taking over those upper regions. I should be up there. I should be the one.
Yeah. He entrusted us into the care of a white lighter from the fuchsia named Chris, who immediately sent Leo mysteriously away.
Oh. So now we move on to year 6. We have a drawing of Piper removing Excalibur from the sword in the city. And it says, after a month under the impression that Leo was up there, ignoring his family.
How did she not know? How did she not know he was up there?
She fell asleep and, just carried about her day, Piper learned that some unknown being had secretly trapped the father of her child in Valhalla. The mystery person turned out to be our new white lighter, Chris, who we were even more surprised to learn was the future version of Piper's and Leo's yet-to-be-born second child. That's a long description.
Yeah.
Chris had come to us from a fuchsia steeped in darkness because his brother Wyatt had turned to evil. We spent much of this next year protecting our littlest one from the forces of the underworld out to turn him. Being the firstborn son of a white lighter and a charmed one, Wyatt was the favorite, of course. Wyatt had already displayed some of his impressive powers as a baby, even calling the famed sword Excalibur to him as part of his destiny. Phoebe also gained more magical strength with the power of empathy, while Paige was feeling confident enough with her power over magic that she decided to return to the workforce. Leo's elder mentor, Gideon, introduced us to Magic School, which was created to instruct a new generation of magic users. Another surprise came when Gideon proved to be the one working behind the scenes to turn Wyatt. As a family, we fought off his evil plan in a battle that left adult Chris dying in his father's arms while baby Chris was being born. Now, this is incorrect. Because they say in this that Gideon was trying to turn Wyatt evil when he was actually trying to prevent it.
And
Wyatt,
yeah.
And
Yeah.
Paul Ruditis actually apologized for this because in the issue it was printed like that. They fixed it in the volume, so I'm going to read the sentences different in the volume.
Ooh.
It says, let's see. Afraid of the power Wyatt could possess as the twice blessed child, Gideon planned to kill Wyatt to keep him from being tempted to evil. We fought off his misguided plan in a battle. So that's where it went back to normal. But yeah, so it just changed it just ever so slightly.
We then have year 7, which features a picture of Paige in a very important episode to Words of the Witches, season 7, episode 8, Charmed Noir.
Yeah.
You can hear the quotes. So he has the confidence to finish the story. And various other quotes from
You haven't even read that?
Yes. So I'm glad that they included that here. They knew several years from this comics making that would be a very important episode for this podcast. So they did that just for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So year 7. The elders threatened to close magic school until Paige offered to become headmistress. But even the next generation of witches could not help us against our newest threat. Leo, who is deeply affected by Gideon's betrayal, teamed with the Avatars in their plan to remake the world in their vision of peace. Paige's latest paramour, Agent Kyle Brody, had some experience with the Avatars and tried to convince her that they were not the salvation Leo considered them. But when a seer showed Phoebe a utopian future where the fight against evil had ended and she had lived happily with a daughter, we began to suspect that the Avatars might be right. We misguidedly joined the avatars to reunite the world in their vision, a vision in which free will no longer existed and the most minor bad acts were met with a harsh punishment. With the idea that the enemy of our enemy is our friend, we teamed with a new foe, Zanku, to take out down the avatars. Kyle was lost in the battle, but the elders rewarded him by making him a white lighter. Leo, however, still needed to be punished for siding with the avatars and was forced to choose between his family and the elders. He ultimately decided to remain at home, stripped of his powers, so that he was mortal once more. While Leo took over as headmaster of Magic School, our friend Daryl Morris was feeling the presence of years of covering for us, especially with his new partner, Inspector Sheridan. Zanki's latest actions forced our secret to be revealed, putting us all in danger. In vanquishing Zanku, we had to vanquish ourselves as well, going into hiding from both the mortal world and the magical one.
Ooh.
Oh, yay. I get season 8, the best season, said no one ever. So on this page, we get this very beautiful picture of Paige, Piper, and Willow Pill using the magic.
And it really is. It really is Willow Pill.
Yeah, that's in the ultimate battle. They're trying to, but oh, I love that.
Yeah. Our 8th year in Magic began with another loss when our friend Daryl moved his family to the East Coast to protect them from a danger the world no longer believed existed. Us! The charmed ones were gone. Though we still lived in the manor under the glamour of our fictional cousins. We didn't stay in that guise for long as the government came calling and a Homeland Security agent helped us reveal that we lived. That was written kind of weird, but I get what they're saying. Yeah, the Homeland Security helped reveal to the world they were still alive and they were undercover.
Yeah.
And we're mortal, so long as we promised to continue the battle against evil. We did this with the help of a young witch named fucking Billy Jenkins.
Batman. I love that. Fucking Billy Jenkins, Batman.
That's great. I like that. Paige's latest charge had her own personal demons to fight, while fucking Billy Jenkins Batman helped us take on evil, including the return of an old enemy in the source of all evil. She was also searching for her sister, who was kidnapped years earlier by demons. An angel of death came for Leo, but an agreement with the angel of destiny allowed us to put him on ice. Put him on ice. I just imagine him in a cooler.
I would love a talk. I'm just imagining Arnold Schwarzenegger. Chill.
Chill. I would love a nice tall glass of Leos.
Oh.
Yes. Oh. Put him on ice while we made sure that the grand design played out as envisioned. We were warned to expect a battle with the ultimate power that would shape the future, and that Leo's loss would be the motivation for us to wage that war. Little did we expect that fucking Billy Jenkins Batman would be the key to that ultimate power. Fucking Billy Jenkins Batman teamed with her newly found sister,
Conti Christie.
Ew. Who had been brainwashed after years with her demon captors. The triad, along with Conti Christie's mentor, Dumaine, used the Jenkins Batman sisters to call the Hollow in an attempt to destroy us. The fight was intense. Lives were lost and regained. In the end, we dealt a crushing blow to evil, though fucking Billy Jenkins Batman was forced to sacrifice her sister in the process.
Oh, So now we're on the final page of this, Forever Charmed. And this is the entries from Forever Charmed that they wrote in the Book of Shadows. Although there is some interesting choices for these, so I will read them to you. It says, this is Phoebe's entry. So much has happened over the last 8 years. So much has been gained and lost. Still, in some ways, I feel like my life is really just beginning. And it was. For though I had loved before, I'd never really known love until I met Coop, a man who I shared the special little girl I had long ago foreseen, but feared I might never have. Along with so it's blacked out, but she says along with 2 other special little girls I had not foreseen is what it's supposed to say. They blurted out. I was suddenly so blessed to have a new family of my own and old friends to share it with. And though I kept working and giving advice to those who asked, I was more interested in helping them find love, since finally having been loved. Then it goes to pages. Phoebe had been somewhat of an expert on the subject. As for me, life without demons opened up similar avenues. Henry, of course, continued to look after his parolees, even if they didn't want to be looked after, while still making time to help me with and the twins. And there she says, helping me with little Henry and the twins is what she said. Which allowed me to finally embrace my inner white letter and to help the next generation of witches come into their own. And then it goes to Piper. So that Paige could pass on all that she learned, not just to her own children, or to mine, or to Phoebe's, but to other future witches and white letters as well. And it's supposed to say, which filled the time between when we were doing the fighting and when our kids were old enough to take over. That's what it's supposed to say. And then it goes to allow me time to get back into my roots and cook something other than potions for once and open the restaurant I'd always dreamed of owning. As for Leo, after we were claimed magic school, he went back to teaching, blah, 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 blah. And that says, which she continued to do until it was time to retire. And although we've certainly had our struggles and heartaches over the years, we're a family of survivors, and we always will be, which is why we've truly been charmed.
Aww.
I should point out that the reason that some of the events in these entries were faded away and like disappearing was because these were events that did not yet happen, and that these were something that they would address in the span of the comics. So it was something that they did on purpose to avoid spoiling what might happen in the comics or what might be coming. Even though if we've seen Forever Charmed, we know, but So that's the end, which, yeah. You know what's the day this was released? It's Charmed's birthday, 24th birthday. So it was a perfect little birthday celebration going over the series with you. Nice. So happy birthday, Charmed! Yes.
Yeah. I remember when I was 24.
Thank you.
Oh, I heard a bird. So what are your thoughts of this first little recap issue?
It seems very full. Like, I could see where if I've never watched the show, this gives me like the story and the excitement to want to read the comics. As someone who's watched the show, what I think I'm a little more excited for that the comics may bring is like a little more focus on the charmed children, with like the sisters in a new kind of role where they're more like the mentors, which I think could be exciting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think this was a really great way of getting people excited about Charmed, both new and old fans alike, and introducing people to this series and taking a look back on the story and really pulling everything together while preparing us for, I guess, what will be to come in these comics. So it'll be really interesting to see where they take the story from here.
Yes. I'm excited to refigure it out because I only read these issues one time before. So it'll be fun to reread these comic books and see if I forgot things. And it's going to be under more critical eye because before I was just kind of reading it, just to read it. But now I have to like really like get into it. So it's going to be fun. Cool. Well, we reached the end of this episode. Where can people find you, Aaron?
You can find me on various podcasts over at Rob Has a Podcast, a reality TV network where we talk about current shows, past shows, all things reality TV and scripted TV and all these other things. And yeah, that's where you can find me. You can find me on Instagram at the Orange Double A and on Twitter at AARoberts94. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And Sean, where can we find you?
The best place to find me is at sean.porrette on Instagram, because from there you can find a link tree to my other podcasts, Once Upon a Cult, where we choose a new group every week and talk about how culty they feel. You can also find me on Marvelous Galaxy of Disney, where we have your latest Star Wars, Marvel, and Disney news. Also in that link tree, you could find my book on Amazon or my shirt shop on Threadless. I do
You're
everything.
so cool.
Shut up, Amazon.
Every time.
Still talking.
Every time.
I know. She's still going.
She wants to read the source book to us all over again.
Oh, she really does.
But yeah, you can follow this podcast at Words of the Witches on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Shut up, Amazon, Alexa, whatever your name is.
Amazon, shut up.
I say what I want to say.
Exactly. Oh,
I think it's done.
all right. Yeah, just follow that podcast, our podcast there. Yeah, so we'll see you. Oh, Words of Witches if you're on Twitter. There you go. And yeah, we'll see you next week for the first issue of the comic book Charmed Lives. All right, everybody.
Yay!
Destiny still awaits.